Here we are inside the Benimar Mileo 282. If I firstly walk to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, we then need to make sure that this one is on as well to fire up the 12 volt system. We can then turn the water pump on and off on this one here. Water pump needs to be on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler up if it's been drained down. Next we have awning light on and off, and then buttons along the bottom mainly give us information. So this first one here will let us know the condition of the leisure battery, so fully charged, and then the next one will let us know the condition of the vehicle battery. To know how much water is on board, we press this one, and currently we have a very minimal amount, and because we have a very minimal amount, this amber light will flash to let us know that we need to be thinking about topping up our fresh water. When our grey water tank needs to be emptied, a red light will begin to flash next to the waste tank symbol just here to let us know that we need to be thinking about going outside and pulling that lever to remove the wastewater. This last button here just controls the illumination of the control panel. So at night time, if you don't want it bright, you can dim it right the way down and then brighten it back up again. This light here is letting us know that we have main supply connected, and the one above it will illuminate when we start the engine to let you know the alternator is charging the batteries. Next, if we now go to this seat here and we just remove the cushions, we can now get into this area here and we will find the battery charger just here. It can be turned on and off just here, but obviously we want the battery charger to be charging the leisure battery and vehicle battery when we're hooked up to the main supply. So the majority of the time you want to leave it on. We then have the 12 volt fuses just here. They do have little symbols all next to them. To be fair, if you are going to blow a 12 volt fuse, it will usually be one of the 20 amp fuses which control the drop down beds. If you have too much stuff on the beds and you put them up, if the motors go under too much stress, they will pop a fuse to protect themselves. Next we have the main strip switches just here. So we have the individual MCBs, the RCD and the test button just here. Next we have the location of the fresh water tank. So if we remove this cushion here and this cushion, we can now see the fresh water tank just here. Also sitting on top of it is the water pump, and we can gain access to the fresh water tank just here by unscrewing this. So if we want to add basically tank cleaner to it, it's a nice easy access point. Again, this van is fully winterized, so you will find directly behind the driver's seat just here a switch, and this switch controls the tank heater that is located in the waste tank. So if you are using the van in extremely cold climate, we can pop this on and stop any wastewater going into the tank freezing. The freshwater tank does not have one, as it is an internal tank. As we move along, if we go to the cutlery drawer, you will find located here all the gas isolation taps for the van. They are all in the on position and they can stay like this. I personally say these are for maintenance, and if you smell gas in the van, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. Located in this overhead locker just above the sink, you will find the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof, on and off just here, and then control the boost on the inner dial. Tucked in the corner here we have the solar panel regulator. We do not need to do anything with this, it will just charge the leisure battery and the vehicle battery as it's required. And then underneath both of them you will find the iNet box. The iNet box is used if you want to control your heating and your hot water and your air conditioning unit via the Truma app. If you are going to do that, you need to download the Truma app onto your device and then make sure the Bluetooth is turned on and then launch it. Once it's launched, you will see a button that pops up that says remote control. If you press that, it will then give you a series of instructions, and it will firstly ask you to press the Bluetooth button, which is located just here. Press it, it will send the Bluetooth signal out and then commence connecting. Once it's connected, you can then control heating, hot water and air conditioning locally via Bluetooth. What you can also do is purchase a pay-as-you-go SIM card and register it through the app. It goes in where my finger is here, and then you can control everything from much further afield. We then have the extractor fan here, which does actually extract outside. Fan on and off here, and then light switch here. The hob, we have one electric hot plate that works on main supply, and on and off just here. Red light lets you know it's in operation. We then have the two gas rings, and they are push in, twist, and then press the igniter. There we go. And then directly beneath that we then have the oven and the grill, and that is push in to the left for the oven, and then if we go back to off and go to the right, we can then fire up the grill. If we now move in to the washroom, we have the Thetford toilet just here. The bowl does move about. We can then open to the cassette just here. Push button to flush. And then close again just here. Do make sure that this is closed, because if it's not and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. The level indicator for the cassette is just here, and it will rotate round to red when it is full. We then have the basin just here, and shower just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is clipped back properly for travel. The microwave is located just above the fridge. Do make sure that the contents are removed for travel. Again, this will only work when hooked up to main supply. Quite easy to use. You've got start, stop just here. This is a microwave, grill and combi, and it's just press this one to go between. So you've got your power settings, grill and your combination. The fridge freezer goes on and off on the black button just here. Just hold it in and it will then fire up. This is an automatic fridge freezer, so as long as you are on A for automatic, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're hooked up to main supply at the moment, it's put us onto mains. If I went outside now and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as you start the engine it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold whilst on the move. We can take it out of auto by pressing this button here, so manually onto mains, manually onto 12 volt maintain. We are going to get an error code at the moment because the engine is not running, and I can manually put it onto gas. Auto is the easiest to have it on. Temperature control just here, and then this last button here just controls the unit's anti-condensation jacket. The anti-condensation jacket is currently on because it is extremely hot outside. This then stops the unit basically from sweating and then building up condensation on the outside of the unit, which will then form a puddle underneath it. Through the winter months we can just turn the anti-condensation jacket off. We then open just like so, and because it is an extremely large fridge, if you do have a great deal of stuff in it, we can use the secondary travel catch just at the bottom here. Next we have the location of the Truma control panel for your heating, hot water and air conditioning. You will see that we have a little symbol here that's letting us know we have main supply connected, and it's displaying the time. If I now press this button in, we will get a series of icons appear. Firstly, I'm just going to adjust the contrast so we can actually see it on the video. So I'm just going to adjust the brightness for a second. There we go. Right, so you'll see a series of icons, and as I begin to rotate the button they will flash. So if we start with the first icon here, this one is for your heating and air conditioning. If we now press on it, you will see it says heater, and if I rotate it says AC. If we start with the heater, click on it, heating is off. All we now do is rotate the button and pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it will go up to 30 degrees. Let's say we want it to be 30 degrees in here. Click on it, it's now stored in, and you will see a little flames appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's letting you know that you have set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, this will begin to flash. The thermostat is just here. As you can see, it's now flashing. If we now click on it again, I can now go back into the heater, adjust the temperature, or turn it back off again. If we now return to it, we can now use the air conditioning. Click on it, off. We can either use the air conditioning just to vent, so it will just circulate the air. To cool, it will not heat. We do not have that particular model installed in this van. We can have full auto climate control, so it will just maintain the temperature you ask. But let's just say we want to use cool for a moment. Click on it. We then control the temperature. Click on it again to store it in. And now the air conditioning will come on. Regardless whether you are using the heating or the hot water, this is your circulation fan. With the air conditioning you have low, mid, high and night mode, which will make it a lot quieter. For the heating you will just have eco and high settings for the fan. After the air conditioning and the heating we then have hot water, and if I now click on that, hot water is off. All we now do is rotate and we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. We can heat hot water in hot mode, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost is extremely handy if there's more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want a longer shower. If the heating is running and you do perform the boost, the heating will turn off as it needs the extra power to do it. But what I will now do is drop it back down to eco, and it will now commence heating the hot water up to 40 degrees, and once it achieves that temperature this will then go solid. Next we have power source for heating and hot water. So currently we are using gas with a little symbol there of a gas bottle. If I now click on it, what we can do is take it out of gas and use a mixture. So a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt, or a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatt. So if you do have both power sources available to you, you can do this. This setting here is extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas in this mode when necessary. Next we have mains electric at 1 kilowatt and mains electric at 2 kilowatts. So with these it is just dependent on the ampage of the site that you're on. As we've just stated, this one here is a circulation fan for the heating in the hot water or for the air conditioning. This one here is for a basic timer, so we can set timers on this. It is just a matter of setting a start time and then an end time, and then just deciding what you want on within that time period. Next we have light control for the air conditioning unit, so we can turn it off or have it at higher or lower levels. Obviously if you're going to be using the timer, it helps if the clock's correct, and that's all this one here is for. Just set the time. And then the last one is your settings menu, and within that we just have an offset for the thermostat, so if you don't think it's quite correct you can tweak it. AC set, again you can adjust the thermostat. Do not turn this one off, or otherwise you will lose the link between this and the air conditioning unit. Temperature, just whether you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen, 12 or 24 hour clock. Language, index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running and what components are connected to this control panel. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time error codes will appear on this control panel. They will usually be basic stuff. So we're currently heating hot water on main supply and we've got the air conditioning running. If I pulled the mains lead out, it's going to let us know that we no longer have mains connected by throwing up an error code. As long as we rectify the problem, 9 times out of 10 the error code will just clear itself. If that's not the case, if you've still got stuff running as I have at the moment, just turn them off, because it can sometimes reassess a lot faster when it's not trying to do lots of things at once. If that's still not the case, I always say then just turn the control panel off, and we do that by just holding this button in. It will say app first, keep holding it until it says off, and it will then turn the control panel off. We can then turn this control panel back on again once off has disappeared on the screen. If when you turn it back on again you still have the error code, I always then say just do the factory reset, because sometimes these control panels can just glitch. We have the television bracket just here. Push here to then move it out, and then obviously attach your television to this part here. Tucked up here are the aerial point and power sources just there for your television. If we now go right into the corner of the seating arrangement just here and we remove the cushions, we will find the location of the combi boiler itself. So it just sits here. So all we massively really need to know about this boiler is how to drain it down for winterization. It's all done on this drain valve just here. These drain valves are automatic, so if there is water inside the boiler and the temperature inside this fan drops below 3-4 degrees, it will automatically open up and drop all the water out to protect itself. We can manually drain it as well. And the way we do that is firstly make sure the water pump is turned off on the control panel, and then twist this blue diamond. When we twist it, a blue button is going to pop out down here where my finger is. To re-close it back up again, twist and push the button back in to reset. All we then do is fill up the fresh water tank, turn the water pump on, and it will then commence refilling the boiler. I do always suggest that when you are fully winterizing the van, once you've drained down all your tanks, go round and then open up all the taps. That way it will release any airlocks and the system will drain down better. But secondly, if there is a harsh frost and water in the pipes does start to freeze, what we hope will happen is the water will be forced out the end of the taps into an icicle instead of expanding and splitting the pipework. If this auto drains and the blue button has popped out, all we need to do to reset it is just push the blue button back in. If it's not staying in, it's still too cold in the van, and we need to turn the heating on to generate some heat to make it reset. The only time we're touching the blue diamond is when we are manually draining the system down. We then have both of the drop down beds, which are electric, and they both operate on these switches here. With this rear bed, we can have it lowered right the way down, so it stops at this point here, just hovering above the seating area. If you are doing this, make sure that you have cushions out the way, which I do not have at the moment. And also, if you are having it in the very lowest position, that you turn off the lights underneath it, because you can scorch the upholstery. If this bed was to malfunction, we can manually wind it up and down on this point here. You'll find a 13mm nut here, and you are supplied with a winding tool just here. The second bed is exactly the same, so just here. And you will also find with this front drop down that you need to make sure that this glass is down before lowering. And same again, just make sure that nothing is obstructing it. And both beds have netting that can be hooked up